Welcome everyone to the December meeting of Finance Personnel and Higher Education. The Chair will entertain a motion to approve minutes of the previous meeting. Ms. Bramer, Mr. Dickinson on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Just for the committee's and everyone's information, there's presently $16,140 in our contingency account. We're flush.
A pretty exact number,
Right,
actually.
Frank? We still got.
What's wrong with all you
Yeah, that's
Give
one
us,
way
give
to
us,
think
give
about
us
it.
time, Frank.
I don't know, my allergies are.
Alrighty, at this moment, I'll, open up the floor to anybody wishing to address the committee. Is there anyone wishing to address the committee at this time? There being none, we'll move from privilege of the floor immediately into our action agenda. We'll move right to item 2, a request for transfer of funds, as attached for committee approval. Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 2. Bring it to the floor. Mr. Simpson on the motion, second. Mr. McDivitt on the second. Any discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 3, to be discussed by the Human Resource Director and Personnel Office, review a report on tracking of vacancies filled. Just as presented? As presented. Any questions for Jackie regarding the report? There being none, we'll move right into item 4. Referral from the County Facilities Committee, Buildings and Grounds, request to establish capital project H370 Municipal Center Employee Parking Lot, mill and pave in an amount of $80,000. These are $80,000 they already have in their building account. My remembrance is that by doing this, they get to carry it into next year. Is that correct? So Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 4. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Gerard on the second. Any discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of item 4 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4 is carried. Item 5, referral from the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, Public Defender, request to amend the county budget in the amount of $1,200 to reflect receipt of funds from the Office of Indigent Legal Services. Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 5. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. McDivitt on the second. Discussion? All those in favor of item 5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5 is carried. Item 6, referral from Health, Human, and Social Services Committee, Countryside Adult Home, request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to increase the hours of institutional aid P number 4 from 8 hours to 24 hours per week. Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 6A. Mr. Sokol, Mr. Dickinson on the second. Discussion? All those in favor of item 6A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6A is carried. 6B, Office for the Aging, request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to temporarily increase the hours of the typist part-time from 25 to 30 hours per week for no more than a 3-month duration. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 6B. Mr. McDivitt, Mr. Dickinson on the second. Discussion? All those in favor of item 6B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6B is carried. Item 7, referral from the Park Operations and Management Committee. 7A, request to appropriate $827.36 from Budget Code A691.07, deferred revenue, Gaslight Village parking fees, to Budget Code A1625.413, Gaslight Village property repair and maintenance, building property, and authorized reimbursement to the Village of Lake George for maintenance and supply costs associated with the Gaslight Village property. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 7A. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Molino. Mr. Dickinson, A and B. There was a motion on A and B. Mr. Molino on the second. Mr. Molino on the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve 7A and 7B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 8, referral from the Public Works Committee, DPW, request to increase capital project H353, County Bridge asbestos abatement and painting project in the amount of $94,600. Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 8. Mr. Gerard, Mr. Sokol on the second. Discussion. Ms. Bramer.
Which bridge is this?
That's a good
Okay,
question.
that's what I was
No, I don't think this is Jean's Bridge. I think we're somewhere else, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is it. Do we have the location of this?
I'm trying to.
We're pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Maybe quicker on that.
It
Caught me off
says-
guard there.
It just says H353.
This would be item 8.
I just love that.
It is a county bridge, I'm just trying to think of exactly what bridge it was now. Doesn't say.
I'm just in facilities, I can.
Your only question is it's specific, which
I
town it's
just
in?
really wanted to know if it was that same bridge from
It's
last
not the
month.
Jean's Bridge.
It's not Jean's Bridge.
This is more.
Mr. DPW Chairman, do you,
I can't tell you right now. It caught me off guard on that one.
we're a little off guard
I
on
thought it
this.
would've been on that.
Lot of bridges.
I don't.
Can we get
have
back to
any
you on that?
objections. Yeah.
All right, let us get back to you on that. But also note going forward that these items need to be the location of these items need to be identified.
Yeah.
Supervisors don't always remember what happened 3 weeks ago. Or even yesterday. Alrighty, then are we ready for the question? All those in favor of item 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 8 is carried. Item 9, requests items to be discussed by the county administrator. A journal report of transfers approved by the county administrator staff since the last meeting.
Yeah, I went through the transfers, Joanne, and we discussed all the transfers. Transfers are fine, so we did go through those.
An establishment of a standard workday for all county employees.
Yeah, we got a letter from the state controller's office back on October 12th, and we have a resolution establishing standard workdays for some of our employees, but we just need to modify it to include all the other employees that weren't included in this. And anybody who is familiar with this, we have to do it on a town level and a county level. And every year or so often you have to send in, it's for retirement purposes, so we have to standardize our hours for employees. We had it for several of them, but we didn't have it for the rest of them, so that's what we've got to do, modify. I think it would be modifying Resolution 438 of 2010.
You'll be back to us on that?
Yeah, Brian's aware of it, and he's been working with Jack on this, and I think they're gonna make a resolution we can modify. Somebody, it's a good job for somebody in New York State.
Item 10, request items to be discussed by the county attorney. Request to charge off uncollected debt at Westmount Health Facility. What do we have here?
Yeah, so we've been working really hard this year trying to collect, a lot of the debt, that accumulated at Westmount from some of the residents. These are, I'm not comfortable discussing patient names, if we're in a public session,
No,
but
we should not.
we put the patient numbers on here and the amount of the debt that we just don't feel like we'll ever be able to collect. And if you have specific questions, I can probably answer them generally. And if you want specifics, we could go into an executive session.
Is there a dollar amount?
The total dollar amount is $9,702.86. But this is just for this year. We've started actions, we've sent letters, so we might collect more, but there also might be more debt next year that we feel like we can't collect.
4 cents?
Yeah, these, I looked at all these with,
Can you cover that, Connie?
and,
Still.
some of these go way back, some of it's cleaning up the books, and it's the right thing to do on this portion of it, but they have been working Mary and the rest of the group, they've been working very diligent to start to, bring this around and clean it up. So, I would recommend that you accept these write-offs and
You
they'll.
don't really have 4. The rest of them are assumptions.
So we are carrying these as a receivable.
Correct.
And so what we're
So
saying
you want
is,
a motion?
Mr. Sokol.
Quick question, do we still have the Clemens firm that, goes and tries to collect for us in addition to what we're doing on our end?
We,
I'm working on several of the very large ones to try to get those done.
But these in particular?
Not any of those because of the size of the debt that's involved. This is a list that we recommended also that, so that we can just close the books out on these and write them off. These are, my personal opinion, we'll never get it next.
You're never gonna get these.
That's why we're asking that they be
Okay.
written off. The larger ones, and we are working on a lot of them, just to give you an example, we just had myself appointed as the administrator of an estate so that we can try to take some money out of, there's a sizable estate, and there's a sizable debt that estate owes. So those are the things that we're trying to do to collect these things. We're working on it.
Ron?
Just, so we know 9,200 is what you're gonna write off, what's the big debt, the bigger debts? I mean, is there a number there that, just so we have a
It's kind of
feel?
it's kind of a moving target, but it's a substantial figure. It's, over $1 million.
Oh,
This is one
that's
patient.
a shocker.
What? No, that's total.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. you
How
need-
many
Yeah, we're gonna
patients
need a
is-
motion to,
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
and the dollar amount is $9,702.86, is that it?
yes.
Motion that
We have a motion by Mr. Dickinson
Thank
to, charge off, this uncollected amount. Do we have a second? Mr. Sokol on the second. Any further discussion? Ms. Bramer?
I think it's a good idea to write this off,
Yeah.
even though it's disappointing, it's money, but
You can spend,
four
this-
cent
you can
debt
spend
isn't
more
worth
chasing
it
it.
to try to collect.
If you can chase it. Alrighty, we've heard the motion. We're ready for the question. All those in favor of the motion, to, charge off this uncollected, debt signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have no pending items at this time.
Did Matt find out where the bridge was?
Can't get ahold of anybody up there.
No bridge, no people.
Who runs this place?
Maybe 6, we don't need action on 6.
It's not in the committee meeting minutes either. It's not in the committee meeting minutes either.
The whole crew, nobody
The
answers?
Brit, I just tried to get hold of,
Yeah, it looks
Jeff
to
and
me,
Kevin.
They're busy.
it looks to me as thorough as we are up here at the desk, that we're dealing with asbestos abatement, and painting in, town of Stony Creek, Johnsburg, and, 2 in Johnsburg, at Vanslo.
Must be on the South Johnsburg Road or something.
So, that's the location. And, we have the vacancies are just a report, correct?
Yes.
All right, we have our vacancies, approved, for filling by the Oversight Committee. Any other business to come before Finance? There being none? Ms. Bramer?
I'm sorry, I can't remember if this is the right committee, but I'm gonna ask anyway about, status of Yeager and Flynn, customer service, how things are going with the transition on the health insurance. Can I ask
That's a
that
good
now?
of course, a good question. Jackie, would you like to, and/or Mike, would you like to respond to our experience with, our, health insurance carrier?
We've had some issues that we're just working out, the timing of communication and things like that. And because we were a little later, I think, than the retirees are used to, with getting things out, because it just got approved on the 18th meeting, their mailings went out a little late, so we've been fielding a lot of calls. But, there is a meeting on the 6th, which is Tuesday next week at the Queensberry, that all the retirees are invited to review their plans if they have any questions. And we move forward all the deadlines, obviously, for them to turn paperwork, so that's been the majority of what we've been fielding from our office, is, coverage questions, and now cards, because it's December 1st, and not everybody has their cards for their new coverage, so we're hunting those down right now. I think it's, based on my experience, fairly typical stuff that you deal with at open enrollment. I mean, every year, everybody, first day of coverage goes, where's my card? I have a prescription to fill, I have this, I have that, so it hasn't been anything out of the ordinary that I've seen.
We did, what I consider to be just typical bumps in the road when you change, over from one broker to another. I mean, because they have a little different way of doing things that they've dealt with other municipalities, and so we're trying trying to work it out. Everything that we're working on so far, I think we're doing okay with. Like I said, just typical bumps in the road that you get when you change over from one provider, or I should say, one broker to another.
Plus, this whole health field is changing, as we speak. I have the feeling we're gonna be spending a lot of time on this going forward. Mr. Gerard?
I was just wondering, where did the discussion go on the policies as Capital worked with us? There was a lot of things that we were implementing or instituting, and maybe Frank can speak better to it. But, they do calculations on our history and some of it's gambling, but we did relatively well as we instituted the recommendations. And some of it was leading towards being self-insured, which was way over my head, understanding the capabilities of that. And I think when we did change over, there was some issues discussed about the surplus we had, which I thought was a good thing, because some of the policies we're instituting were working, giving us the surpluses. That was my understanding. And if that kept up, we could actually become self-insured. And with the change of brokers, what I'm wondering is, where does the discussion start with the new broker and his ideas and his policy settings, and how we craft to go forward, especially with all the modifications and changes that are implemented each year, so that we all feel comfortable or feel like we understand what our risk is and how we're handling it.
Well, I think thus far, the presentations have been really quite excellent, but I think they're well aware of the fact that they're going, and I expect to be coming back to us with some analysis and some recommendations. Jackie, do you want to?
I think that their hope is that at least quarterly in 2017, they can get with the committee and kind of start having those conversations well ahead of renewal for next year, because we did discuss the option of fully self-insuring and
Right.
having the prescriptions and the medical all self-insured, and because of the turnaround time, especially based on the broker and the renewal.
Yeah.
It was just so tight.
And that's what I'm asking, is
Yeah,
they're
he
gonna
wants to,
start that process?
Yep. Yeah, actually, I sat next to him at the last board meeting, and he wrote me a note to ask Amanda to schedule the first quarterly meeting, so I'll send you an email.
Right. No, if we're going to maintain, any kind of governance on our health plan and costs, it's absolutely essential that we try to think outside the box here a little bit. And of course, we don't know what's coming out of Washington again, now that there may be another zig in the road. So it's going to get interesting. Hopefully not expensive. And
The only thing I'll say is that I believe that building up the reserves the way we did was not short-sighted. It was a proper thing to do. And I think Yeager and Flynn realize that now, that having the reserves were the proper things. If we ever go self-insurance, we're going to need to have those reserves. So it was a smart way to do business, the way we did business. And that we tapped into the reserves a little bit to keep the premium at a lower rate this year. First time they've had to do it. In my recent memory than that. So having the reserves, Dan, that was the correct thing to do.
To say it's pretty complicated, and it was there was some risk involved in getting people like myself to understand it. I thought Capital did a good job, and
They did.
and they were successful from their data they collected and how they rolled the dice, and it could swing the other way with some wrong decisions.
Right.
And I'm just saying, we have a difficulty with understanding and taking the best course, so there's a lot to it.
Frank?
I think that's part of Yeager and Flynn's goal, is to educate us on being self-insured, what it means, because they have several clients our size and a little bit bigger, I believe, that are self-insured. So I think the goal is to educate them first. They just wanted to basically get up and running, all right? That's when I talked with Matt, let's go the first quarter and just get up and running and get everything going. And then they felt like they wanted to start the planning and explanation and so forth going forward.
All righty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'm gonna give you these roads. 13th Lake Road in Johnsburg, Denneker Road, Stony Creek, and Hudson Street in Johnsburg.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Can we,
Chairman.
I'm
those
glad the
monitored
bridges
resolutions
exist.
or, in our minutes, could we add that so that, you know, for situations like that where,
I just mentioned
We
to
have a little more
Amanda that
detail.
we want those identified in the resolutions.
Right,
going
same with
forward.
when he puts county road, CR 11.
Yeah.
We should know the community that the CR.
They put the
county
numbers,
so
but,
many,
you know, these codification, these numbers, we don't always remember what.
they know, they're
they
in it
know,
every
but
day.
we don't always remember. Thank you. Alrighty, motion to adjourn? Mr. Simpson, Mr. McDevitt, all in favor? We are adjourned.
Very efficient today. Wow, you're quick.
I tried, but then